How's it going, guys? I'm Vivi, and yes, I'm finally back after 1 week of no upload. So, after so many analyses and speculation videos, that feeling of finally having the chance to play Yooka-Laylee, it is absolutely great. Overall thoughts of the game, quick 3 words, I loved it. Review copies, sure, we got a bunch of reviews, which weren't that great, but I didn't let those reviews make me doubt the game at all. The chance to play a style of platformer I loved as a kid. It is fantastic. I spent hours upon hours playing Banjo-Tooie, Banjo-Kazooie, those types of games as a kid. Yooka-Laylee is the game, which many of us have missed, but perhaps it's not for everyone. Why am I saying that? Well, look, this review is coming from a guy who grew up with Banjo-Kazooie, let's make that clear, alright? Yooka-Laylee began with a very successful Kickstarter. Yooka-Laylee is a 90s style platformer. That's what the backers wanted. When I saw the first teaser of this game, the worlds weren't meant to be full of enemies. The moment I saw that, I was like, okay, Yooka-Laylee will be all about exploration. Call it a collectathon platformer, that's what it is. That's the essence of the game. I think that's why some people aren't really a fan of the gameplay style or something like that. Some call it outdated, I've been reading that a lot. Look, in Yooka-Laylee, it's very similar to the Banjo-Kazooie series. Yooka-Laylee, Banjo-Kazooie, games like that, guys, you explore worlds, and the worlds in Yooka-Laylee look fantastic. I'll talk more about these things during the ending of the video. So with that being said, let's jump into the mechanics. 5 worlds are expandable. Instead of having many worlds, like in Banjo-Tooie, we decide what to do. There's a lot of freedom. Expand the world or unlock the next one. What I did is, I unlocked all of the worlds first, you know, to understand the layout and all that. Once that was done, I went backwards. I expanded Galleon Galaxy, Capital Casino, Moody Mage Marsh, so on and so forth. But for my second playthrough, I will definitely 100% the worlds first, before moving on to the next one. When I kept analyzing these games over and over again, I was like, okay, 25 pages, 200 quills, okay, it's doable. But 25 pages, the more you play the game, the more you realize, okay, 25 is actually a lot. And considering how large the worlds are, there's so much exploring to do. But here's where tonics become useful. By completing a set of objectives, we unlock perks. The 2 tonics I found the most useful are Hunter, which you can find quills pages, you hear this whistle, that means there's a rare item nearby. And the other one is Extra Health, very useful, especially when you're fighting bosses. Of course, you can only equip 1 tonic at a time. 200 quills is doable, not very hard, and it gives you an idea of the areas you haven't visited yet, especially when you have the Flappy Flight ability. But being stuck with having to find the last quill is such a pain. This actually happened to me in Galleon Galaxy. I equipped Hunter, and guess what? The last quill that was missing was on top of the pirate ship. I literally probably spent an hour, or maybe more, looking for that one missing quill. My reaction, I just wanted to lay on the ground and cry. Next, you purchase moves off of Trouser, similar to Banjo-Tooie where you bought abilities from Bottles' brother in exchange for notes. Same thing in Yooka-Laylee, instead of notes we have quills. In order to advance in certain areas we needed a specific ability. At that point you realize, okay, I have to go to another world and purchase a move from Trouser. Again, similar to Banjo-Tooie, we find bosses and we fight them whenever we want. Now, we don't really have weapons in this game, that's not the point, we have fruit berries. We can unlock switches, use them as a weapon like I just said, we can melt ice, feed a pink Ghost Rider to capture it. Overall, it felt like tools most of the time, rather than actual weapons. So what did I mention so far? Quills, pages, fruit berries, the moves. We also have some secret collectibles, the skulls. I haven't found all of them yet, I found 2, one at Galleon and one at Moody Mage Marsh. And I gotta say, the one hidden at Galleon, it's not obvious. Some are very well hidden, and you definitely need Flappy Flight. You explore the world fully, you're flying in the air and you see everything clearly. Just like Banjo-Kazooie, we have 5 Ghost Riders. In Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie we had Jinjos. But I would compare this to Banjo-Kazooie. In that game, by collecting 5 Jinjos we would get a Jiggy. The same thing applies for Yooka-Laylee. Instead of Jinjos we have Ghost Riders. Same thing. But what makes it different from Banjo-Kazooie is the fact that these Ghost Riders require a special way of capturing them. One attacks you, one hides, one requires the sonar shot, one eats fruit berries, and the other we chase it. So yep, with that being said, let's move on to the difficulty. Honestly, I found Yooka-Laylee harder than Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. Some of you of course might feel differently. Here's a poll I found on the main forums. The majority think that Yooka-Laylee is a lot harder harder than Banjo-Kazooie, which I agree 100%. But I also believe that Yooka-Laylee is even harder than both games, Tooie and Kazooie. To finish the story only, it took me 25 hours. Of course, that's just me. The game, like I said before, requires a lot of exploring. Or maybe I'm just way too slow. What made the game hard for me are the challenges. I'm talking about Yooka-Laylee. The hardest one, in my opinion, was the one at Murime's Marsh. I lost count as to how many times I redid that challenge. I felt like throwing the controller at the TV. Honestly, I love this game, but I did get frustrated at some times. Don't even get me started with Rextro. Hardest one was at Capital Casino. What annoyed me the most about that challenge is the invincibility. Sure, you're invincible, but the lizard roll gets disabled. And at a point, the camera starts moving faster and you get left behind. You don't even know what's going on anymore. Second hardest Rextro challenge I'd say is the one at Galleon. Pressing X at the right time if you're playing the PS4 version. Now I understand the whole thing with 2 pages when it comes to Rextro. Add more gameplay, but I would have preferred to have that second page hidden somewhere in the world. And I gotta say, some of the challenges, they're frustrating, they were hard. And sometimes you feel like you just get stuck and you're like, ugh, I give up, I can't collect this last page. Okay, I understand, having one challenge with Rextro in each world is probably not enough. But we have multiplayer with a bunch of minigames. I think they could have hidden that second page instead of, you know, having to beat Rextro's high score. Some of the minigames were very simple. The one on Murime's Marsh was the easiest in my opinion. Next, there are 3 quizzes in the game. Some questions were unfair in a very funny way. I was literally sitting there and just laughing. Example, how long have you been playing this game? How many wheels does Dr. Quack have? How am I supposed to know that? I like the little references they added to today's style of gaming. Looking up guides, being on our phones, trying to find that last pagey or whatever. It's not too over the top, cliche hashtags or anything like that. It was okay. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the difficulty. Let's move on to the bosses. The boss battles, they felt harder, compared to Banjo-Tooie at least. All of them took me tries. Well, except for Rampo. I got him on my first try. A lot of people found Rampo hard for one reason only. A lot of them had no idea that you can remain still in the roll position. You do that and you slowly move up the ramp and jump over the logs. I already knew that, and when people said Rampo is very hard, I was like, are you sure? Cause the other bosses were a lot harder. Anyways, the final boss, I'm gonna be honest, I was a bit disappointed. The world bosses felt harder, but one thing that made the boss battle, the final boss battle, a bit challenging in the end are the bees. You have to avoid the lasers on the ground, and you have to use the sonar explosion at the right time. And you have to be careful. At the last phase, you fly in the air and power gets consumed. When you run out, you have no choice but to get hit by the missile. One major thing I found very unfair during the final boss is the small cutscene. You know what happened to me, guys? During the cutscene, Yooka moved, but he went into the green lava, and guess what? During that small cutscene, my health was going down. Imagine my reaction, just looking at that. During the cutscene, I was stuck in the lava, and I kept losing health. During a cutscene, I don't know what happened, maybe a glitch? A bug? So weird. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, during the last phase, I had no idea what to do, until I had to face this guy a couple of times. I had no idea that you were supposed to fly in the air. You're probably laughing right now. But they should have given us a small hint. Have Yooka and Lily talk, hey, we have to fly in the air. We have to avoid the missiles or something like that. I understand they wanted to add a layer of challenge, but to me it didn't look obvious at all. I was just walking there and confused. I mean, in Banjo-Kazooie, which has a very memorable boss battle, you knew what you had to do the whole time. Is that a bad thing? Does it make the final boss easy? Not necessarily. If you stand there for 30 minutes not knowing what to do, it's gonna frustrate you. I understand. Capital B, he's not Gruntilda with the broom. But the boss battle, it lacked variety. You always had to hit Capital B the same way. Okay, sure, the last phase required the missiles to hit Capital B, but overall, it felt like I had to attack him the same way throughout the whole battle. Compared to Gruntilda, it had a lot more variety, the Jinjos, flying, the eggs. Yooka-Laylee had a lot of switches. Why didn't they implement the switches? Add some sort of very challenging mechanic. Activate the switches in time. If not, you get killed. Sure, phase number 2 required frostberries. Other than that, it felt like you kept running in circles, just doing the same thing over and over again. If I were to think of anything that was challenging about this final boss, is figuring figuring out what to do. Once you figure it out, it's not that hard, in my opinion, alright? Okay, that's enough of capital B. Since I'm talking about bosses right now, the 5th boss, Planet, the controls, the ship, that transformation is my least favorite. Controlling the ship, in my opinion, was hard. What happened is I kept getting too close and I kept hitting the planet and lost health. You're too close, you're gonna lose health. You have to be careful. Easiest boss was Tentacle at Moody Maze Marsh. You had to hit the 3 eyeballs, avoid his attacks. It's doable. Doesn't take too many tries. Rampo, you can cheat. If you come back after purchasing Flappy Flight, you can just fly on the top and hit his teeth. Honestly, I found that very sad. To cheat like that, I think the team should have done something about that. I mean, the whole purpose of Rampo is to test your rolling abilities. Why come back, fly, and cheat? I was like, really? That is very sad. Did they do it intentionally? I mean, a lot of people found Rampo challenging, okay, but realizing that you can cheat like that, it's just terrible. Sure, it makes the game easy, yay, we're all happy, but meh. In my opinion, what they should have done, if you fly too high, the game prompts you to restart the battle. I think that could have been a good choice. Okay, as for Inept at Capital Casino, you just have to time your jumping right. That's pretty much what I can say about Inept. But hardest part about Inept is when he moved forward, slowed down for 2 seconds, and then moved forward again. You had to jump twice. Now that was the most tricky part. Now guys, I'm telling you these things, but I'm not sure if I have the footage, but I hope you get the idea. So with that being said, let's move on to the technicalities. The controls, I'm being honest. No major complaints. Maybe flying in the air, Flappy Flight. If you look at what I'm doing right now, this is what I mean. The more you use it, the more you understand how to be precise. Well, another reason would be that I probably suck at it real bad, but out of all controls, that's the one I found the most wonky. Sometimes it felt like you're just moving in circles and you found that annoying, but that's all I have to say when it comes to annoying controls. I know a lot of people have issues with them, but I found them okay overall. But, camera problems, unfortunately yes, they are present. This is one thing that was not improved from Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. One major camera bug happened. I was at Capital Casino, the camera got stuck in one angle. I couldn't move. Well, I could move, but the camera was stuck in one position. I had to die to restart. I had no idea what was going on. A few glitches here and there, getting stuck between rocks. If it weren't for Flappy Bird, I would have been stuck there. I would have had to restart the game and lose some progress. That would have sucked. Can we break the game? Maybe. Moody Maze Marsh, for example. I activated the switch that was behind closed doors without the battery. I randomly started firing frostberries and voila, the switch activated. I was so confused. Normally you're supposed to open the door. You have to absorb the battery's power and activate the switch. As for frame drops, I did experience some. The screen kept freezing from time to time. The most I've experienced was at Capital Casino, no doubt. Not just within the world, but during Rextro's challenge as well. Because of that frame drop, I lost. I had to redo the challenge. I probably don't have the footage, but I did get these small problems. For those who got review copies, the game didn't have patches yet, and the frame drops were even worse. 2 major patches were released. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, they mentioned this on their Twitter page. Comparing my gameplay to the other gameplays I saw online, the frame drops, they're a bit better, but there's still some. I also heard that the PC version runs at 60 frames per second and runs much smoother without any much frame drops. Now the Xbox One and PS4 are experiencing these issues. I'm wondering about the Nintendo Switch version, which doesn't have an exact release date yet. Oh yes, before I forget, many people have discovered a glitch in Capital Casino. Apparently, they're missing one pagey. For what reason? Why did the game do that? I have no idea, but I've read stories like, if you exchange casino tokens for pages, exit the world, and come back, the game doesn't save that. The game apparently reduces the number of pagey by 1, something like that, but I did not experience this glitch, even though I exit the world and came back. So unfortunately for you people out there who experienced the glitch, you can't 100% the game until we get a patch. Now will that patch require us to restart the game all over, or do we simply have to go back? Time will tell. Honestly, it'll suck if it would require us to restart the game. Any other bugs or glitches? The pagey that was stuck on a rope. You had to lizard rush your way through. What you could do is basically cheat. I don't know if this was intentional. I don't think so. You could remain in the corner, wait for your power meter to recharge. Another one, walking on the side of the wall at Capital Casino. I don't think that was intended. Despite all these hiccups, guys, I really enjoyed the game. I'm yet to 100% it. What's left is a few pages at Ivory Towers and Tribal Stack Tropics. If some of you are still watching this video, you're awesome. I have some extra thoughts to share. Why are people calling this game outdated? I guess there's a reason. That's what I've been reading. Look, Banjo-Kazooie fans, I think, will enjoy it. This includes backers. Well, maybe. I've seen a lot of people compare Yooka-Laylee to the modernization of Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight, which I haven't played, apparently kept the same style, but people are saying it feels more modern, like it's more appealing to today's generation of gamers. Apart from controls, Yooka-Laylee is all about exploration. It's not an action platformer. Could they have made Yooka-Laylee harder? Yes. If there was a game over option, for example, maybe they could have erased some of our progress. Not the whole thing though. Dying felt like, okay, I died, I'm back. Nothing happened. The boss health wasn't shown. I think it would have been a neat little extra to have that in. But what I liked about Yooka-Laylee is reverting back when you're transformed. This wasn't present in Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. To revert back to a lizard and a bat, you have to press and hold R2 or simply jump in the water. Very useful, thank you Platonic. Instead of going back all the way to Dr. Puzz and turning back. That wasn't needed. That's one major improvement right there if we compare it to the Banjo-Kazooie series. Okay, now since I'm comparing this game a lot to Banjo, cause you know this game is a Banjo-Kazooie spiritual successor, what have they improved? The transformation, press and hold R2 to turn back. That was very useful. The worlds, they were easier to find. According to Platonic Games a long time ago, they felt like the worlds in Banjo-Tooie were way too far apart, and made the hub world way too huge. They fixed that with Yooka-Laylee. Now the worlds in Yooka-Laylee, they're as big as the worlds in Banjo-Tooie, and yes, we didn't have teleportation, but it wasn't necessary. Why? Because we had the lizard roll and we had a flying ability. In Banjo-Tooie, we needed the teleportation. We were always on foot, and if you wanted to fly, we needed to find a specific platform with the feathers on it. I don't know if you remember. Same thing goes for Ivory Towers. No teleportation. There was teleportation in Banjo-Tooie's hub world. With all the abilities we have in this game, teleportation pods weren't necessary. Now let's move on to the transformations. Okay, it's a Banjo-Kazooie successor, but were they really necessary? We didn't do much. All we had to do was do a specific task and get one pagey. I don't know if it was necessary. If they had removed that, that could have been one way to make Yooka-Laylee unique in its own way. But not saying that I hated the transformations. Yes, I did dislike some, but my favorite one would be the fishes. It was pretty cool. Honestly, without the transformations, I still would have loved this game. I understand you want to remain close to the Banjo-Kazooie formula, and I think this is why people seem to think the game is outdated, cause they were too close to the formula of the Banjo series. I don't hate it, I love it, but for the transformations, I'm just saying, they didn't add much. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this part. Final verdict. Yooka-Laylee, guys, it feels like a modern Banjo-Tooie. Listen, visual-wise, okay? The formula, like I said, is very similar. It's a successor. How many times have they said that? Some of you might say, hey, it's not 1998 anymore. We need something different. It's cool that it's similar. I don't mind it. I love it, actually. But what I've been reading is, if you're too similar, it will make the game lack originality. But the Kickstarter, guys, the teaser, this is what backers wanted. What they got is Banjo-Tooie with better graphics. Or in other words, Banjo 3 we never got. It does feel like a Banjo-Tooie sequel, but replace the bear with the bird. What Banjo 3 has is some small improvements and slight differences. For example, the choice between expanding the world or moving on to the next, press and hold R2 to turn back to a lizard and a bat. These are the things I've noticed the most. Again, Yooka-Laylee is like a tribute to Banjo-Kazooie. The series overall. Collect quills for moves, very similar to the second game. Get a Pagey, similar to the Jiggies. 5 Ghost Riders, very similar to the Jinjos. Comparing this to BK, Yooka-Laylee is non-linear. A lot of player freedom and yeah. Other than that, we have gorgeous visuals, vast worlds. Could they have made the game harder? Absolutely. The voices, the grunting and all that I'm used to. But I don't know if you guys noticed, we no longer have to press a button, while press and hold to be precise, and have the the NPC talk faster. What happens now is you press the X button to make the NPC shut up. But we can't do this during boss battles, which is something I would have preferred. Final score, 8 on 10 for me. It's a Banjo-Tooie we never got. Same overall formula. The difference is expandable worlds with updated visuals. You might think I'm blinded with nostalgia right now. That's not it. I simply like the game. I like the style. Call me old school or whatever. When I turned off the game, I'm being serious, I felt like replaying it constantly. To finish off this video, I'm looking forward to Yooka-Laylee or Yooka-Tooie, whatever it's gonna be called. So yeah, this is it for the review. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So in the comment section below, tell me what you think. Do you disagree or agree with some of the points that were mentioned? Leave everything. And as always, I've been Vivi and thank you for watching. And again guys, thank you so much for the support. I'll catch you all next time.